Hey everybody out there, so today for you guys, I thought this topic would be really interesting to discuss to you guys about, considering what we recently saw in the OCG about a week or so ago, and knowing that it's going to happen over here too in the near future. When? I don't know, but it most likely will happen. And that is erratas. Now erratas in the game of YuGiOh have been around for a very long time in the game of YuGiOh, and when I was going through my videos, I was actually thinking to myself, did I ever do a video talking about my thoughts on YuGiOh erratas? Apparently I never did. Why? I do not know, but I didn't. So today we're going to be discussing this topic. So the funny thing about erratas is I have, let's say, mixed feelings about them. Mixed feelings, really mixed feelings. And that's because sometimes I feel like they do a good job and stay true to the card, which is going to be a key theme you're going to hear me talk about. And sometimes they make them jank and they don't stay true to the card. And that's why I have this love-hate relationship with erratas. It is what it is, right? So recently, and the reason why we're even talking about this, which I'll mention in this video before we get any further, is recently in the OCG, if you guys don't know, Konami errated Makiora the Destroyer, which I think was a Merrick card. That card enabled a lot of crazy shenanigans back in the day. I can testify to that. Didn't stay around long, but it did. In saying that, they errated it, and they made the card, I feel like personally, still good. It's still decent, playable, not as broken, but they stayed true to the card. And this is something we've seen with some Yu-Gi-Oh cards out there. Recently, with some of the recent erratas, I'd say they've gotten better compared to what they did to some of the older ones, which they pretty much killed off, and you haven't seen them since. Saying that, that's why I have that love-hate relationship. Makiora is an example of doing erratas right. You stay true to the card, you stay true to what the card's supposed to do, you make it still possibly playable, but you don't make it busted. It's now can come off the list and be played at certain amounts. And sometimes you're not allowed to do that. So some examples of bad erratas, or what I'm discussing here, so Makiora, and let's use Chaos Emperor Dragon as well, which recently came off the list, which is still powerful. It's not broken as much as it used to be, but it's still very good. It's still playable. It's still powerful, right? I think we can all agree with that. With that card coming back, not broken, but still powerful, still good, still playable. That's the key note. Those are two examples we'll use for doing erratas correctly. Good job, Konami. You stayed true to the card. You made it less busted, and it's playable still to some degree. What are some bad examples of erratas? Sinister Serpent. Yeah. You killed Sinister Serpent. Sinister Serpent is an example of an errata where I think you kind of killed the card by trying to even do it. And you sit there and you say to yourself, was that even necessary? Because you have to understand with Sinister Serpent, at the time that card even was errated, there were people, a lot of people, who would say it could just come back off the list and nobody would even play it properly. Konami thought differently and decided to make it not good really at all, to the point of pretty useless, to the point where you don't see it being used at all. Again, we see good erratas with things like Witch of the Black Forest, Sangan, things of this nature. Those are good erratas. I still see Sangan be played in 2019 and 2020. But things like Sinister Serpent, Exchange of Spirit, Crush card is, let's say it's in the middle. You had to nerf it. It was too broken otherwise. But you try to see, you have these either with erratas, you see what I'm trying to discuss here about. They're either really good or they're really bad. Very few are in between. Crush card is somewhere in between, I feel like. That's what you see a lot with erratas. But there's this other side of the camp, and you know, before I move on here, that's why I have that love-hate that love-hate relationship because a lot of times they're either really good still or they're really bad with erratas. And every time I hear a card is getting errated, I kind of sit there and go, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh gods, please don't butcher the card. Lately, they've been doing better about it. But, there's this camp out there of people that have always felt about erratas, and I understand where they're coming from, because when they started errataing cards, I felt the same way. And that was, why don't you just make a brand new card instead of ruining the history and legacy of these old cards that are broken? I get where you're coming from, and I understand that completely, and that's a very good point. But you have to understand in context the reason why even Konami's playing around with this idea of erratas. Many moons ago, in a time when the pyramids were still young, there was a young Japanese man, who's no longer young, who said to Konami, I made this manga, and I want every card on the ban list to one day be able to come off. And that man was Kazuka Takahashi. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. I haven't. It's been years since I read anything up on this. But from what I read and did research on some years ago, there were some articles written back in the day that the reason Konami started doing erratas is because Kazuka Takahashi said he wanted to see all these old band cards come off the list. And Konami saying, yes, creator of light, creator of this game, we must bow to your infinite wisdom and do so. And thus erratas became a thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Erratas initially were on a different level, I feel like, up until that point, where they pretty much were doing what we call nowadays problem-solving card text, making older cards more up-to-date, missing timing. That used to be a thing, not so much anymore. You rarely see cards nowadays that miss timing because of problem-solving card text. Yay! So that's what I'm trying to say here, guys. Erratas used to be a different form where I feel like it was more like, hey, let's make this into problem-solving card text, make it legit, make it understandable, make Yu-Gi-Oh! Text uniformal. And then it started to become this, hey, let's make old cards be able to come off the list by changing their effects, making them nerfed. And that's how we kind of got erratas into the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! More and more. And saying all that, and talking about it, like I said, I have those mixed feelings. I like erratas and I don't like erratas. I like the fact that I can play with old school cards and they can still be playable. But I hate the fact when you murder the card and murder the history. Especially for a guy that's been playing this game pretty much since the beginning. Like, I was playing in 2002 competitively at the end, but saying that, like, I hate when I see, like, oh, that card used to be broken. Now you suck. Hey, I can still play you in GOAT format. Or Teledad format or something, right? But that's what I'm trying to say. You see this, and, it's why I have that love-hate relationship with erratas. Because I get the point. You're making room on the ban list. You're bringing old cards back, which is cool, but you gotta do it right. Stay true to the card. Don't butcher the card. Don't make it unplayable. Don't just be like, we're gonna make this card so we're gonna hit this. And you've seen this happen, like Sinister Serpent. There are other examples out there. But like, you hit a card so, you nerf a card so much that it becomes unplayable, period. And I think they've gotten a lot better with it. And I think they got some backlash from it. And I think they fixed that up recently. And I'm very happy to see that development with Konami and erratas. So, saying all that, that's my feeling about erratas. If you had asked me a year or two ago, I would have said I absolutely hate them. Then it's changed over the course of time into this love-hate relationship where now it's becoming more of, you're doing a better job, so I'm okay with erratas. And that's where my final stance is on. I'm okay with them. I like them. But I do sometimes have mixed feelings when Konami goes a certain route with a certain card that's old school and very nostalgic. And, I wouldn't be lying if there's certain cards on the ban list I would like to see back with an errata, but I wonder how Konami would deal with such cards. The old school hand control stuff like Forceful Century, Delinquent Duo, Confiscation. How do you nerf those cards? I don't know. How do you make them still playable? I don't know if you, you know, like there's certain things. Yatagarasu probably could come back, but will Konami probably errata Yatagarasu before they bring it back? Probably, but are they going to probably kill it when they do so? Maybe, I don't know. So you see where my fears are coming. Like, I like to see it back, but I'm kind of scared what you're going to do. And when they do it right, I love it. When they don't do it right, I hate it. That's my feeling. Mixed feeling, but for the most part, it's more nowadays seeing how they've gotten better at it. I'm more on the positive side about it. But tell me your thoughts down below, guys, what you think about Yu-Gi-Oh! Erratas. And until next time, take care. Have fun dueling. Good luck dueling. I'll see all of you guys next time, and take care, everybody. Good luck dueling to all of you. Take care.